Fire Department. What is the address of the emergency?
I got in a fight with my brother-in-law and I shot him in self-defense.
When Chandler police got the call that July morning, it seemed like a cut and dry case. A family fight turned into a shooting, and there was no obvious indication of foul play. At least, that's what they thought at the time.
As far as the Chandler Police Department investigation, nothing has shown us differently.
But there was a lot the Chandler Police Department did not know. I'm Morgan Loew, and you are listening to True Crime Arizona, Lori Vallow's Deadly Delusions. Chapter 2, Lori's Family. For months, Charles and Lori Vallow were having serious marital problems. She moved away, disappeared for weeks. He accused her of strange behavior. Cult-like behavior.
Lost her mind. I don't know how else to say it. We're LDS. She thinks she's a resurrected being and a god.
Charles had recently changed his $1 million life insurance policy, removing Lori as the beneficiary and adding his sister, Kay Woodcock, instead.
I love her to death. This is killing me, officer.
Oh, I can understand.
Our 13th anniversary next month. We've been at a great marriage. All of a sudden, the last month, it just blew up. She just lost connection.
That was Charles speaking to police just a couple of months before he was shot to death. Shot by Lori's brother, Alex Cox, inside Lori's rental home. What was going through Lori Vallow's mind back then? How could she go from admired wife and mother to what she is accused of today? What changed? Why do you think it's important to sit down and do this interview?
I think it's important because Lori has been portrayed a particular way in the media this far as a monster, a heartless villain that's just after money, and that couldn't be further from the truth of who she really is.
That is the voice of Lori Vallow's sister, Summer Shiflett. She and her mother, Lori Vallow's mother, Janice Cox, sat down with me for an interview in May of 2020. That was before Lori faced any serious criminal charges. She was behind bars, but investigators had not yet discovered the remains of her children, Tylee and JJ, and Lori's sister and mother were still defending her, hoping all of this was some big mistake. But this is one of the only interviews Summer and Janice participated in, and they know Lori probably better than anyone who's spoken out in this case. So I thought there was some value in running part of the interview to see if there's something, anything from Lori's past that might explain her present situation. Let's start with what led up to Charles Vallow's death. Here is Summer.
I know for a fact that she did not conspire to kill Charles in any way, shape, or form. I spent a lot of time with Lori and Alex leading up to Charles' death, and I know that there was never any kind of discussion like that about it.
In the months leading up to the shooting, Charles and Lori had separated. Lori drained their business bank account. Charles told friends he was worried she might harm him or the kids. But Summer told us Charles was the one behaving strangely. One moment begging Lori to get back together, the next moment threatening her.
Charles texted probably 20 or 30 times, ranging from "I swear I'll be nice, please call me" to "your end is coming soon." So I saw a lot of threatening texts from him.
When Summer learned that Charles was coming to Chandler to see Lori and the kids in July of 2019, she worried that he intended to create trouble.
If Alex hadn't have been there, I think Lori and Tylee would have been on the news for a very different reason.
You asked Alex to go to the house that morning.
Yes, I did. I asked Alex the day before Charles was coming if he would please go stay with Lori. He said, "Lori's going to be fine. She can call me if she needs me." And I said, "Please, I have a very sick feeling in my stomach. Please just go stay there."
Alex ended up shooting and killing Charles. He told police it was self-defense. What was your reaction when you heard what happened that morning?
Shock. And I think they were in shock. I was in shock. I found out Friday evening, and I was in shock that had transpired. But I was very grateful also, because I know that it would have had a very different outcome had Alex not been there. And I'm sad that happened. I didn't want that to happen. I feel for his family. I understand what it feels like to lose a brother. It's not fun. And so I don't wish that on them by any means, but he was here with an agenda. He was here causing the trouble. She was not trying to go after him. He was here bugging her.
Janice said she believed the root of the problems between Lori and Charles was not Lori's behavior, it was Charles's extramarital behavior, a claim we have not heard from anyone else. In fact, one of Charles's good friends told me he did not believe Charles had an affair. But Lori's mother, Janice, made the claim during the interview.
I did not see any great change in Lori. I think the only change that happened was when she found out Charles was cheating on her. That ruined that marriage. Before she accused Charles of cheating, he never said one bad word about Lori ever. Not once. He never said anything. Then he started all of this, she thinks she's God, tried to get her excommunicated from the church.
JJ.
He went to attorneys and said, I'm scared for my life. The whole time he was texting us, calling us, trying to get Lori back. Finally he said, tell Lori I'll drop all the court proceedings if she'll just come back and talk to me.
Let's take a timeout. Remember, this interview took place in May of 2020. A lot has happened since then, but even so, it seemed like Mom and sister were ignoring a lot of facts as they criticized Charles and shielded Lori.
Are you defending Lori because she's your daughter and she's your sister, or are you defending her because you really think that she did nothing wrong?
We really think that she did nothing wrong. She's had some bad judgment. She's married a few men that we didn't care for.
She'll be the first to say
Yeah,
she's made a lot of mistakes, and she's paid high prices for those mistakes.
Janice and Summer said Lori had a history of bad taste in men. They said she ran away to marry her first husband. She's been married 5 times. At least one of those marriages ended up in an ugly court custody fight. And they said the one constant in Lori's life was her brother Alex. He died in December of 2019 under mysterious circumstances. We'll get into that in a later episode. We'll also talk about the other heinous crimes Alex is now accused of committing before his death.
Janice, Alex was your son, and he has been described as the family hitman.
I can't help but laugh. Alex is the most laid-back person. He's been funny his whole life.
Janice said Alex was extremely protective of Lori and her children. Years before, Alex had assaulted one of Lori's previous husbands, Joseph Ryan. Lori had accused Joseph of inappropriate behavior with the children. Alex drove to Texas and confronted him.
He said, I tasered a pedophile. And so he said, I'm willing to admit it. He's always owned up to anything he's done wrong. He certainly wasn't perfect, but he doesn't have the intensity of a hitman. He doesn't have the desire to be a hitman. He doesn't think that death solves anything.
Janice and Summer both said they believed Lori was too invested in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to be involved in murder.
She knows she's going to stand and be judged. She would not do anything to jeopardize her eternal life.
We will hear more from Janice Cox and Summer Shiflett as this podcast moves forward. But 1 month after this interview took place, investigators located the bodies of Tylee and JJ. Summer Shiflett then released a statement that reads in part, When I first heard that remains had been found, I immediately felt the need to pray for those who found them. And I continue to pray for those who were on the scene, removed the remains, and have to analyze them to try to piece together what those poor babies endured. We have prayed for the truth to come to light, but we never thought it would look like this. Believe me when I say this has looked very different from my perspective than what the public has seen. It's easy to jump on a bandwagon when you don't personally know all of the people involved. When you've been up close and personal, you can't discount your own interactions and just go by what everyone else says and thinks. I know there are people waiting for me to admit I was wrong. If that's all you want to know, here it is. I was wrong. I am an extremely imperfect person that loves my family with all my heart, and I wanted to believe the best in them, and I held out hope for the best possible outcome. Since that time, Chandler police have recommended Lori Vallow be charged with conspiracy to commit murder in the death of Charles Vallow. That case is in the hands of the Maricopa County Attorney. In the next episode, we will trace Lori Vallow's path as she left Chandler, moved to Rexburg, Idaho, and her children began to vanish. This podcast is written and reported by Kim Powell and Morgan Loew. Edward Ayala is the editor. True Crime Arizona, Lori Vallow's Deadly Delusions is a production of Arizona's Family, CBS 5, 3 TV, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.